Give me a countdown.
All right, this is another episode of the Critical Introverts podcast. I'm your host, Senor Filth, with my co-host, Benevolent Asshole, Divine Arts, and a returning guest, Jordan Farmer, or Jay Farmer. This is kind of a special episode because it's sort of a joint episode with his podcast, the Uncommon Conversations. So I guess he'll be sort of interviewing us in the beginning, and let's just see where it goes. All right, I guess you want to start, Jordan? Is it Jay, or you prefer Jay or Jordan?
Doesn't matter. Last name's Farmer, though.
Okay.
But it does not matter. Jay is the easiest thing. I'm going back and forth on that, and anyone that follows me is probably much more frustrated by it than I am. But,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a creative dude, so I can't really pick what I want very easily. Anywho, yeah, so this is a joint podcast, Friday the 13th, bitches, between Uncommon Conversations and the Critical Introverts podcast. I am the resident extrovert on this podcast. No, I'm just kidding. But we're going to be talking about all kinds of things: God, religion, culty behavior. And for all you ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, transgenders, and conspiracy theorists, we got shit for you. So on that note, with the conspiracy theorist part of that, with the Ukraine-Russia war, there's propaganda on both sides. There's been a lot of issues determining what the truth is. But at the end of the day, when one person crosses the border first, it seems simple to me who the ultimate bad guy is. But how do you guys feel about propaganda, and how do you guys feel about how people don't want us to think about that? How people want the oversimplification, and that's why they use conspiracy theorist as a term to say you can never think outside of what we tell you to think, because then you're that crazy person over there, when in reality it's just thinking that people are conspiring or planning together in ways that they haven't told the public.
Yeah.
That's such an obvious thing that would exist in humanity, that to think that conspiracy theories are like bad voodoo or something is ridiculous. So how do you guys feel about the propaganda?
I guess let's start off with, like, what do we all think just propaganda is? Because I think people throw it all the time, especially like on the left. They kind of just they call everything propaganda, and it's I don't see it so much as that, like, a totally bad or totally good thing. I don't know, what do you guys like just say what propaganda is? Benevolent or Evine?
Well, go ahead. I see propaganda as an enforced narrative. Like, this is the narrative that we're gonna go by, and no other narrative should exist. That's how I always see when someone says propaganda. Like, it always has a negative connotation to it.
Yeah. All right. Benevolent, what do you think?
Well, like, with propaganda, doesn't necessarily have to be true. It's like pushing a narrative, like what you said. And I think the problem with what's going on now is that it seems that they're really good at controlling where the propaganda is coming. Like, how is it that only propaganda can come from, like, Russia? It's like they isolate that propaganda can only come from Russia. It's like propaganda can come from, like, the country you're living in. Propaganda is coming from everywhere.
Yeah.
And that's the problem that I have with people. Things are like a lot more nuanced that they are admitting. And people are so like, yeah, obviously everybody is against war. That's like something that I think most people can share. But yeah, like, propaganda is, like Jordan said earlier, like, it's coming from everywhere, not just Russia. So that's when people question what's going on over there, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're cheerleading for Vladimir Putin. It just means that we're trying to figure out what's going on.
Hold on a second.
And we admit that in the search to the truth, we may be wrong along the way, but you need to it's part of the process. We need to figure out, we need to ask the questions to get to the actual truth, and instead of just accepting the propaganda, which is what most people are doing, just accepting, like, okay, what they put on the table for you and just eating it like
Jordan's having some issues. You good, man?
I don't know what the hell is happening with this stuff, but yeah. I think I'm back for a while. We'll see.
Okay. I guess I'll jump in. I'm trying to be like as loose with the term propaganda as someone like on the left would be. Like I guess they, in the simplest terms, it would be like anything that sort of pushes a political agenda, and even if it's someone even like I don't know, like a boring Thomas Sowell video or something like that. I think if you want to consider that to be propaganda, but I think there's levels of it, and when it's a lot less informative and a lot more like a Nike commercial or something like that, like it's not necessarily explaining the ins and outs of what they're saying. It's just selling you a product. Yeah. It's a more marketing based thing.
Yeah, the problem with the left too, when they say propaganda, it's just like to dismiss something. It's like calling somebody a Nazi. Mm-hmm. Instead of addressing the problem that they have with the opposing view, it's like they never address it. It's they're a Nazi. It's propaganda. So it's never the problem is never addressed. Like, what problem do you have with Thomas Sowell? What problem do you have with so and so? They never actually like explain anything.
The funny thing too is
insults.
The funny thing too is like my description of it, like of it being more like a commercial. Like in order to sort of, I would like say the best way to avoid propaganda is to get a little bit more into the boring details of whatever the topic is, and that's something that, like, generally speaking, like mostly people on the left don't do. They're not as dorky with this kind of stuff. Like Jordan's pretty, I mean, this in a good way, like you're pretty geeky on like the stuff you can talk about, you know what I mean? Like you're that guy.
I know it's gotten so bad, man. It's like he is
nerd.
As soon as you say something as simple as how, where, why, you're like labeled conspiracy theorists.
Yeah.
You can't ask any question in that how, why, where, what. You can't sort out anything like that. It's just like, ooh, just accept it.
Well, definitely, that was the first time in my life I was called a nerd, so I will remember it for all my days. But I'm much more concerned with being called a meathead than a nerd, so I can take that in stride.
He's a cool nerd. He's a beefy nerd.
It's a compliment at this point. It means you do your research.
I try to.
I don't like the term cool nerd. It just makes me like I don't like
it's an oxymoron.
I don't like hipsters.
There's nothing cool about politics.
Yeah,
sure.
It's
no,
it's miserable work.
I've lost a good.
Let me tell you, it's miserable work.
Yeah, it's like,
but it's important.
Yeah, movies like Napoleon Dynamite kind of like annoy me because it's like staged nerdiness.
I love that shit, bro.
I know, but it's just like fake nerdiness just kind of bugs me because. I've always been someone to like.
He's the much fabled dweeb, not a nerd.
It's
different.
It's extremely cringy.
Yeah, like it's why I don't like a lot of like music based like biopics. It just they always try their best to like I don't know like they're so. They have so much respect for the artist that they kind of like make them so goody that like it makes it kind of annoying, and I don't know, it's why I don't like the movie Selena, because it's a little too, they make her look too goody, but it just doesn't feel real to me. Anyways,
there's definitely been collaboration.
The Jennifer Lopez one.
The old Selena.
Yeah, whoa. Selena Quintanilla.
Is there more than one?
No, I mean, like, there was released on Netflix. Well, there was a series released somewhere about Selena. So.
Oh yeah. Ugh, I didn't see that. But that probably would have been the same, just like making her too goody. I still don't like it. I don't like
she's
when.
Such a cool random phenomenon. Like K-pop, where I'm totally disconnected from it and I don't get it, but I'm like, these people love this shit, man. There's no question.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Used whenever my friend was talking about Selena, and I'm just like, I have no idea who this lady even is.
I remember.
She's like a little young girl.
Yeah.
She died at like 23, I think.
Yeah, like
I'd be like, what, Santana? What are you talking about?
Yeah, I wasn't that. Like, I knew sort of her back in the day, and then when she died, I was like, oh, that girl that I kind of remember died. That's a bummer.
But I kind of remember
died. Anyways, about propaganda.
Very like commercials for sure.
Yeah.
Like tailoring it to make whatever your intended. Like you're creating all the right things to make someone come to the conclusion you want.
Yeah.
And it's all presented in a very palatable way, easy to swallow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But propaganda is very, very, very nuanced. It depends on what the object of it is. You guys were kind of talking about it earlier. Like there's propaganda saying what your opponent is saying is propaganda as a way of like dismissing it. And so that gets at the heart of like, it's just, I think propaganda what makes propaganda in any given thing different from anything else is the deception that you're trying to withhold or fail to fully express the truth as you see it. You're withholding something for some strategic purpose. If you give people just the right information, they'll come to a specific conclusion. As an example, if you look at the data when government goes from spending nothing up all the way to spending like 25% of the economy, it just looks like the more they spend, the more it helps growth. And so if you only see that, boom, now that's your belief, and it's because you just had a limited frame of the full perspective. And so even with things like the Thomas Sowell videos, it's interesting you brought that up. There's very subtle and distinct things that make it propaganda and in ways people don't understand. If you go check out the reason why my show is called Uncommon Conversations is because of Uncommon Knowledge with Peter Robinson, who is one of Reagan's speechwriter back in the day. You know, Gorbachev, tear down that wall. Yeah. He wrote that shit, or contributed to it. And he's a brilliant, super articulate guy. And his show's called Uncommon Knowledge. Anyways, on his show with Thomas Sowell about the housing boom and bust, they discuss like people who are analyzing statistics. And Thomas Sowell makes a point by being like, they focus only on individual on household statistics, but not individual statistics, and households change in size, so you can't get the full picture of what someone's economic situation looks like just by looking at individual, or just by looking at the housing, like median household income. You have to look at the individual for the full nuance. And then within 90 seconds, the next question was posed, and he cited a median household income statistic. So, like, it's just like warfare. Yeah. To make a point, and there's a point to be made, but then they immediately like go against it, and when you're swallowing the good point that's being made, that shit gets through. Yeah. And it's very, very subtle. So, like, any conversation about government, our government advocating for us in trade law internationally is like big government, big no. Yeah. Free market equals free trade. Shut the hell up. Like that's the way they want you to think about it, but that's not the way it is at all. Why would we even let the things we invent in our country go be made in another country and buy it from them? Yes. How stupid are we? That doesn't
make sense.
Just like on a base level. Now, if you trade with other countries like Mexico, a third of their economy is dependent on us. So when we threaten tariffs, we can make them go into a depression. A third of their economy is gone overnight with tariffs. Like 1% of our economy is what we're selling to them. So there's not a reciprocal threat there. Yeah. That can be leveraged to then create positive change in human rights standards. With Mexico specifically, it would be like, hey, start waging a war on the cartel. We know your dirty laundry is literally hung up on the electric wires, literally. Yeah. So let's If you hang up shoes, that's a sign of someone getting shot. For those who don't know, literally, we know the cartel runs Mexico. So like, we should be telling their government to get their shit together and saying we will not trade with you because we don't have to. There's not some weird obligation to trade with other countries. That's a stupid concept to begin with. But we can make them do better. And so when Trump threatened tariffs, within a week or so, 16,000 Mexican troops were on their northern border, our southern border, to minimize the flow of people.
Yeah.
And like any, human trafficking, drugs, everything. And like numbers started to go down. So like it works.
Mm-hmm.
I remember it was proven. It should, like in with flesh and blood human beings showing up. It was proven. So, anywho, but yeah, they don't want you to think outside of a certain frame. So they'll give you all the right things to make you come to a certain conclusion and make sure you demonize or fail to consider how smart the other side of the discussion might be.
Mm-hmm.
And the truth is, it's usually like a 9-step peeling back of the onion to get to the right meat of the situation, like with global warming or climate change. Like the discussion is it real or is it not?
Thing,
Then are we contributing to it or are we not? But and like, it's literally basically, if you think climate change is real, the Democrats' solutions are just what you're going to support, and you're not going to think about it anymore.
Yeah.
And then if you have questions, you're going to have doubts, and then you're not going to address it or try to come up with solutions from the right, other than saying vaguely that innovation will prevail.
Yeah.
But there's not, like, we're not pointing to something to say this will handle it, or there's not a lot of people in the game. Elon Musk is like the only dude in the game really making moves, trying to solve these problems with the real economic might behind him. There's some people dealing with plastic stuff and other things, but they're all they all have poor people's mindsets and therefore believe they must work for a nonprofit, thinking that that's somehow the most ethical way to go, when it's simply not the most effective. And if you're in a good mission, you should be the most effective. So that's a whole rant there. But anywho,
to touch on
the standard conversation's overly simplified.
Yeah.
And so
if I can,
but I'll let you get into it. Yeah.
If I can sort of just jump in, like you brought up the climate change thing. Like the climate change thing is the thing that immediately made me like the first night of the COVID shutdowns, I was worried, thinking like how people on the left sort of like look at climate change. It's just like a conversation that's a lot more convoluted that they're used to. So they're just going to, like you said, they're just going to do as they're told, not ask questions. And yeah, I remember the first night of the shutdown, it's like I was asked, like, am I worried about the sickness? And I was just like, not really worried about the sickness per se, because who knows, but I'm worried about how this is going to affect people psychologically, and just little things like that. And the people I told this to, like, had no idea what the hell I was talking about. And that was like the first sign of like something's not right. So
the UN's own projections. So the climate or the Paris Climate Accord used to be called the Kyoto Protocol, but there are the UN's own projections of the Paris Climate Accord. If we were completely compliant with it, including China and India, and we know they're not, but assuming they were, it still only reduces the increase in temperature by 0.2 degrees by the end of the century, which is not solving the problem in any way, shape, or form. So literally their own projections of their own solution says it's not going to solve shit, and no one asks a question.
Yeah, but again, like explaining this to someone on the left is almost impossible. Like,
basically, you brainwash someone long enough, you can take them to a concentration camp. Excuse me, concentration camp, and they still would not believe what they're looking at.
They'll buy their own ticket.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, people get insulted too easily. It's like with Jordan Peterson, like when he called out that one chick on TV.
Oh, the
She was like a
Kathy
little-
Newman video.
I'm not sure which one.
The
yeah,
one who was telling
The-
him that.
So what you're saying
So
is
what you're
Nazis
saying,
are
yeah,
good.
yeah.
yeah,
That's
because
Kathy Newman, I think, was.
Yeah.
The first
Oh
one.
my gosh, that is.
it's
such
funny
an
because
day.
people won't take accountability of their own home or like their own physical body, but like they want to change the world. How about like you start with yourself? And
Yeah.
that's essentially the point he was trying to make. He wasn't like necessarily trying to insult her, but I mean, you look at her; she was like out of shape, and she wanted to change the world. And
Oh, I know you're talking what clip you're talking about. Yeah,
You're talking about the
I think it's like an
the
Australia.
redheaded chick.
I think it's like
Yeah,
an
like
English chick. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like an English chick. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
people can't even clean up their room, and they want to like clean up the world. It's like, how about you fucking start with cleaning up your own room? But people get
the
insulted.
people with
That's
clean
all.
rooms don't
like,
say
oh.
anything. The people with messy rooms are like, "How could you say that?"
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah. That is
Including me. I was like, "Hey, fair, but still." But it's like if you can't handle the shit right in front of you, how do you even know you're on the right track?
Yeah.
Like if you have so
Basically,
little
you're
confidence, how do you even know you're navigating the right direction?
Yeah, you gotta start somewhere.
No freaking clue that you have to remove maybe a 200-foot beam out of your eye to be able to point out someone else's crap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Humans love
that one guy
to
was
not look
doing.
at themselves. For sure.
What was the name of that one guy, the activist? Is it Scott Pressler? Or was that his name? The one that was cleaning up?
Oh yeah, Scott Pressler. Yeah.
Like
the boy with the long hair?
Yeah.
The boy with the long hair. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know this story.
He's like an older guy, but
he's been on Tim Pool, I think.
Yeah, I think his name is Scott Pressler, I think, and he's like a tall guy with long hair.
I think he's gay too.
He's also gay. I don't know if that really.
Whatever. Yeah.
He doesn't really like talk
He
about
sucks dick. It's obviously very relevant to this discussion.
What I actually appreciate.
I mean,
not my dick.
We all got to know. We're all curious.
What I appreciate about what he was doing though is he wasn't just complaining. He was proactive.
Yeah, he was doing
going out to the cities and actually cleaning them out. Like when he went to Baltimore, I think he came to LA. He went to like a bunch of other cities and actually got off his butt and actually did something instead of just complaining. It's like, oh, how can we send money to the government so they can solve the problem? Like, how about like you start with yourself?
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense. And I know I brought this up before, but like if anybody's ever read Michael Crichton, you should definitely check out State of Fear, because he's one of the first people that like criticizes or like was critical about global warming back when it was called global warming. And the book is fiction, but it's really good because it asks questions instead of like just accepts things. He's actually asking questions and he goes over these graphs. And it seems like he knew what was going on because a lot of the stuff, even though it's fiction, I think a lot of the stuff that he's talking about was actually like things that were happening like behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Because I found out too, like a while back, I think he sold one of his mansions to like George Soros too. Like I'm kind of connecting the dots, but there's like a bunch of other little things. And he actually died young too. He died like I think he was like 48. And it's funny. It was not funny because this guy was awesome. But like a year before he died, or a couple years, he died. I think a few years after he released a book. And when he first released the book, he was afraid that something would happen, and people would kind of like, it's like, well, if I release this, I'm afraid like I'm gonna get killed. Something's gonna happen to me. Yeah. And then, sure enough, he dies like a few years later. Very similar to like what happened to like Andrew Breitbart too. So. Yeah. And it's funny too because even Andrew Breitbart brought him up too one time. It's like, what happened to Michael Crichton? How come nobody talks about him anymore? He was such a iconic author back in the day, and like people just forgot. Like he died, and nobody talked about him anymore. Yeah. But yeah, it's called State of Fear. Check it out. And like any of his interviews about like global warming, like he was very critical about the whole environmentalism. Like he compared it to a religion, which it shouldn't be a religion because when it's a religion, you can't question it. You should be able to test something out, and if it doesn't work, change course and try something different. But like the way things are going with the whole climate change, it just seems that they just want your money and just throw money at the problem. And like we're throwing money at the problem. We're throwing the money overseas.
Yeah.
These dumb effing globalists. I mean,
wasn't he a doctor before he became an author?
Yeah, he went to medical school.
Yeah.
And he wrote like another book called Travels, which is actually like his autobiography. That one was actually based off of like true events.
Yeah.
And that talks about him going to medical school and all of his different experiences. They kind of helped him inspire all these other books that he later wrote as fiction.
Yeah. I guess to go back to the propaganda thing. Yeah, it's like I said. I don't think it's necessarily a good or bad thing. It just depends on maybe the intentions behind it. Maybe it's like if I were to make a painting of Thomas Sowell, let's go back to the name of and I post it on Instagram. I mean, you could probably consider that to be propaganda because I am trying to introduce him and his ideas to the masses in the same way that you see leftist art. It's like it's like Che Guevara.
They would call it an expose.
Yeah,
they would use more neutral language. I think people that are overly thoughtful and analytical will try to see any political art or any sort of self-expression that enters the political arena as propaganda, but yeah. I really don't think that's the right way to conceive it. I think it has to be deceptive because, again, if you think Thomas Sowell is awesome and you're just saying that you think that he's awesome and you're sharing it, there's nothing deceptive going on. Now, if Thomas Sowell was secretly a wanted animal rapist, to make an office reference, and you omitted that, and then you talked about how much he really, really loves animals.
Yeah.
And worked with animals in a charity or something. That's propaganda. You're misdirecting from the relevant aspect of what's going on. If you're just saying, "Hey, Thomas Sowell's a brilliant American. I'm an American. Here's a dope American. Shut up." There's nothing propagandistic about that, I don't think.
Well, what's interesting about Thomas Sowell is that he was actually like a Marxist.
Yeah, his story is pretty tricky.
He went through Milton Friedman's freaking class and was still a Marxist like that.
Yeah. So if you're like a Marxist and you're gonna hit like a dislike on this or leave an asshole-ish comment, go ahead and leave a comment, but realize that Thomas Sowell was once a Marxist just like you.
Yeah, I love.
Everyone's in their own place in the education process. You can't take your superior position to them as meaning you're worth anything more than they are. We're all in our own spot in that process, and we all once knew nothing. So
I do love
I think we need to leave room for growth. I think the problem with a lot of these leftists, I think I was bringing the point that I was bringing up with you because of something that we were talking about earlier, is that with a lot of these leftists, there's no room to be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
There's this prevalent ego that they cannot be wrong. And what's interesting with the thing that happened recently with maybe we'll talk about it a little bit later with the drummer from 311.
Mm-hmm.
In one of the tweets that he had to apologize, he was talking about that he's not an expert on what's going on with Russia and Ukraine, but that maybe we should take a look at it. But it's he has room for to be maybe to say, well, maybe I'm wrong. I'm not an expert, but I'm just trying to figure these things out. I'm not saying that. I'm just basing it off of what I know right now.
You want me to just pull it up right now? I could if you want.
Yeah, if you can pull it up right now.
Okay. Anywhere you want me to go? You guys see it?
Mm-hmm.
Benevolent?
So what's the key thing from this article we need to be taking away, Benevolent?
Did he sign off?
Oh, me?
He's
I think Benevolent. He's signed off.
He's gone.
Let's
I was gonna make a comment real quick about
Go ahead.
the ego and the persona.
Yeah.
Ego meaning your self-image, and then the persona is your projected image to the world. The ideal is if you're an authentic person, those things are the same. You're projecting, or what I'm trying to project to the world, is who I am.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to get to know every part of my life because you don't deserve it, and I can just say that, and then I don't have to talk about everything, and then the shit that's left over, you get the real me. Very simple. But in the abortion situation, it's an ego issue because you're touching on their self-image as a moral person. That's, really, really going against that image. So they have to like make you out to be some sort of a demon.
Yeah.
What you're talking about earlier is a lot of the persona stuff where they just want to tell you what they think is the right thing to say to appear like the right kind of person.
Yeah.
Pragmatically to get through life and the situation. They literally just don't give a shit what they have to say. They're just saying the thing they have to get through, the checker at Starbucks, like some people are just like, hi, miss, bye, miss, just because they don't want someone to put something in their drink. I like talking to people. So when I show up, I'm like, hey, what's going on? What's going on? Oh, tell me about your mom. Like,
Yeah.
I'm there versus just going through the motions. And that's the distinction, I think.
Yeah. Is David, you want Benevolent?
I'm back.
Sorry.
Like, what happened? I just kind of like
you got muted.
Well, I was muted like when I came back, but like I was booted out for like a little bit, and then I put myself on mute.
Yeah. You want to go back to the article?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Wait.
What happened?
I think Jordan.
Did you like booted him out by accident, or?
No. I think it's his internet's a little. Crap. He's trying to come back on.
To like give some context to what I was going to talk about, because I don't think a lot of people know who they are. Like 311 is a band from like back in the 90s, and it's funny because they've always stand for like unity and peace and all this other stuff. And they've actually also been accused of being racist back in the day because their name is 311.
Yeah,
so they thought,
I remember that.
3 is K is the 11th worth of the alphabet, and then there's 3 in the very beginning.
God damn it.
KKK. So their shirts were actually banned for a period of time, like at these high schools back in the, I think, early 90s. So it's funny that now, it's funny that some of the band members are actually leftists. 2 of them are actually leftists, and they've actually accused like the MAGA people to be like more like racist.
Yeah.
Well, specifically one of the members, and it's kind of sad because a lot of their fan base is actually are like more from the Midwest, and they're more farmer type. Construction workers. That's the kind of like the fan base that originally supported them from the very beginning. Now they have like these trendy people from like San Francisco, New York, all these like douchebags that I can't say. I'm sorry, remember, like I can't say. But so anyways, to come up to what's going on now, there's a few things that actually happened, like with Black Lives Matter. What happened?
Sorry.
Oh, okay. But I'll talk about that some other time. But like one of the members is actually like a Trump supporter, and I actually found that out just recently, not too long ago. Like maybe
what?
A few weeks ago. So apparently he donated to Trump back in 2016. I had no idea because everybody else is either left or like kind of like in the middle, like in the band, and he's not that vocal. Everybody else is like a lot more vocal. And he's actually now on Truth Social. So now that he's on Truth Social, what's ironic is that he probably signed up for Truth Social because he's probably like a very private person, and he felt that he could be a little bit more open by being on Truth Social and voicing his opinion.
Yeah.
But the problem is that he voiced his opinion over what's going on over in Russia and Ukraine, and then one of his band members was upset because he took it the wrong way, and he thinks that he actually supports what's going on. He supports the war, but it's a little bit more nuanced than that.
They kind of want to kill nuance for some reason. It's
like
anywhere you want me to go?
Yeah, just go to the very first, I guess.
Tweet.
Yeah.
Okay, here.
So this is from Truth Social. So like what this one guy writes down, like it's funny because he's been like in the truther community too. Like this one guy, IET17, for like a long time, and a lot of people reference him like about a lot of the stuff that he talks about.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so crazy to hear actually or see Chad Sexton actually respond to him. So he says, if you support Russia's dismantling of Nazis and deep state in Ukraine, post C. And what happened was that he actually posted C.
Yeah.
So now it seems that he's in favor of the war, but it's like more nuanced than that. Because it's so funny because like when the left says like, oh, we need to get rid of the Nazis, like they can call everybody Nazi and justify violence. But over here, this is more nuanced. And anyways, if you scroll down even further, he tries to further explain that what he meant is he based off of his opinion, based off of one of his dad. Let me just read the whole thing. Okay. That way I don't miss something. So he goes and responds, love and understanding comes along with understanding people can be wrong. So he's willing to admit maybe he was wrong about something. That's something that the left will never admit to.
Yeah.
But he's just trying to figure things out. So he continues, it doesn't mean that they're bad people. So it's kind of like saying, like, I'm just trying to get to the truth. So everyone makes mistakes. I was just basing things off of my very good friend, whose wife is from Kiev. And his dad was,
Kev.
Sorry, Kev. Sorry, I can't pronounce it, sorry. And whose dad was a 3-star general in World War II there. So that's very interesting history, he says. So he says, sorry if I offended you. I'm not an international expert by any means. I think war is horrible. So he's not in favor of war, everybody.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can move on from this now. You spent all day on it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, none of us want, you like, you guys can actually go and read the rest. Like, we can find it if you type in, if you go to Google and you type in Chad Sexton, it's one of the first articles.
Outside of people that work for the military-industrial complex, we can pretty much resoundingly say everyone's against war.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's not a controversial one.
Yeah, but this ego thing
how much experience do you guys have with True Social, real quick? I haven't been on yet.
No, I haven't been on.
I don't have an iPhone.
I have one. I actually really like it, to be honest. Although, like, because of my trauma with Twitter, I don't get on it as much as, I want to. I get reluctant to just, like, reach out to people because of just, like, what I experienced from Twitter. My gosh, that is a hellhole in and of itself.
I never made it.
Well, now is definitely time to hit the ground running when it comes to Truth Social, since it's new.
Mm-hmm.
Now is the time where you can really take advantage of the wave and all the new people.
Yeah.
Any new platform, emerging platform.
It seems to be getting a bigger wave than Twitter from the looks of it.
Well, Elon is questioning. I just saw an article saying that Elon is questioning going through with his offer, because the offers are always subject to due diligence and making sure that they were not lying about what they said their corporation had. And apparently there's not as many actual users as they were even saying, which wasn't a lot to begin with. So, but Twitter very much seems like it was an establishment, like, propaganda tool only in reality, but not officially, which meant that according to the laws, Elon could make this kind of a move and take back the power, which is why there's been such a because, like, Facebook is not on the news. No. Instagram is not on the news. TikTok is not on the news. Blogs are not on the news, but Twitter is on the news. Why?
That is actually a good idea.
It's always being referenced, yeah.
And there's something else that I never knew before, that most, if not a good half of Twitter is nothing but bots and people who have multiple accounts. Like, I saw this one chick in a photograph. She had like 50 phones laid out on a table. All of them had to do with a different account. But basically that's how people had more than, had like a huge jump in followers.
Yeah. What I've noticed too, like with Twitter, I have a Twitter, but I never used it. But like what I noticed with Twitter is that, like, whenever somebody on the right or more conservative would say something good, and like you would start getting these rebuttals from people on the left. It was always these like same accounts that would get propped up to the very top that would say like these stupid like rebuttals that really didn't like were like that great, but like they'd get like a bunch of retweets and likes, and it was always the same line of douchebags. I swear I can't remember their name, but it was always the same face, the same guy, always at the very top. Like
90% of the messages I get through Instagram are bots.
Mm. Yeah,
at least 90%.
A lot of promoted on this whenever I post anything.
It's a lot of bullshit NFTs.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
But I remember MySpace. Like I'm that old, and
what is MySpace?
I made a MySpace. My cousins got me to make a MySpace. I never went on it.
MySpace is
but
cool.
It seemed a lot more.
It had a monster logo for the background, I think.
It seemed
and I played.
I never
3 days grace
because I forgot my password.
Yeah, but like, why did that? Like that seemed a lot more friendlier than like social media now. Like, what the hell? What shift happened there? Like,
I guess
weird.
To me, the shift kind of happened when I noticed that people were just like, "You stupid so and so," or I want to shove my fist down your throat, and suddenly it's just like, oh my gosh, I can say stuff like this and I can't get consequences. I want to know how that ended up becoming the norm, that until you started saying the opposite and people start jumping down your throat thinking that you're some divergent who's out to remove their rights to be mean.
Yeah. I also think that like it seemed like MySpace you could have done more in it. Like I think you could like put playlists on, you could put videos and shit like that. I think like the limited things of what you could do in that whatever site has like bred like people to just be mean on like social media. Because
MySpace is still a thing, right? The websites are still there, right?
I think it's just like a music thing now, I think.
If we could bring MySpace back, if that became a thing, that would be pretty funny.
Yeah,
that would be pretty cool.
Wow,
I think it was kind of popular among like the young kids, like from what I heard, like some of the young kids.
MySpace, really?
You'd have to try to sell it like it never existed before. Then they might take fire, but because it's old shit, they're like, nah.
But yeah, like MySpace was cool because of the music feature. Because Instagram is getting a little bit better, but like with MySpace, you can share like all kinds of music that was like licensed, and you wouldn't have a problem with.
I'm a tinfoil hat guy through and through, and I legitimately think like all the American social media companies are intentionally made crappy, so that TikTok, by contrast, is what we're all going to. Because Vine like got bought out and shut down, and then Vine 2.0 is TikTok, and MySpace got like displanted for some reason, but it didn't really make sense why. It just got old, but I don't know.
I also think that
actually,
go ahead.
In Tumblr, it's kind of like a MySpace, I suppose, because you are able to pull up playlists and without getting flagged. And I used to have a Tumblr for a few years, 7 specifically, and I always loved to play my music on it.
Yeah.
Although I learned that trigger warnings are also like saved for like getting on someone's profile and then suddenly their ears are like bursting with this music that they didn't pick out.
Yeah.
And apparently it like gives people anxiety, and I'm just like, I am not going to turn off my music just because you can't seem to handle your own anxiety. And I did get mad. Maybe that was a little bit mean, but it's just like, I already have to cater to more than half of you jerks. Leave my music alone.
Yeah.
What you just said reminded me of a story. In 2014, I worked in a warehouse in Riverside, a car parts warehouse. I was a delivery driver. And the guy that was in charge of that, the OD, overall director, whatever his name was an asshole. I think he's dead now, but if he's not dead, I hope he sees this and knows that I think he's an asshole. But
wow.
he like there was a guy who was getting trained to send United States Postal Service stuff. Like he was in charge of that little station. It was a little station within the warehouse shipping things out through the Postal Service. And he walked up. He's in charge of the whole facility. And this guy's like a newbie, hasn't been there long. It's day one on this new thing. And walked up behind him and was like staring at him, watching him do his work, like from right behind him. And like I think his name was Phil. I don't remember. I pulled him off of him by just starting conversation and getting his attention over to me. Mm-hmm. But I was like, what a dick move to just fucking literally. And he was staying in his position because he was getting paid well, but he didn't do anything. He literally fell asleep in the middle of the day. He would leave to go get a haircut. Like that it was useless. Anyways,
was he Hispanic by chance?
I love heavy metal. Sirius XM Octane, that is my shit, right? I had that shit cranked up to like 30, 35, blasting it. Yeah. People on the freeway complain, like, I love that shit, right? And I was like 20 years old, so I was a psycho. So I had that shit cranked up all the way, turned the car off. I didn't even plan this, but it was cranked up all the way. He decided to take that car home from the warehouse.
Nice.
And so that old fuck turned the car on and went, like, it was fucking amazing. He was so pissed the next day.
Wait.
Oh my gosh! Right at the best part.
Oh. I've actually done that to myself by accident.
Oh, you got it.
I forget, okay. Yeah, like I'm like jamming out like the night before, and then like I turn on my car, boom.
I would do that to my husband by accident. He would come home glaring at me, and I'm just like, what? And he's like, you need to stop freaking listening to your music all the way cranked up. It's like, sorry.
Yeah, I had a shipping job a few years ago, like 10 years ago, and I would play. Do you guys know Opie and Anthony, that radio show?
Mm-mm.
I know of it. I didn't listen much.
It's like
I like Jim Norton a lot.
Yeah, he's great.
He's funny.
But it was like it's kind of like Howard Stern type of shit. But, you know, they make a lot of tranny sex jokes.
Only a lot less actual nudity.
Yeah, but because it was, uncensored, they would kind of get into it. And I would play that shit. Okay. I would play that shit.
That makes sense. It's Sirius XM.
Yeah, I would play it like super loud, and I had like no realization. Like my office was next to the accountant, and like there were episodes where they get into like, you know, doing stuff with, because Jim Norton, if you know Jim Norton, he has a thing with trannies. He's not afraid to talk about
fond of them.
His fondness for transsexuals. So the accountant actually like complained to the manager that I was playing stuff like that.
He also likes women with large vaginas.
Yeah,
so make of that what you will.
Oh, I'm glad I don't know this.
It's actually very funny, but it's not for everybody. But yeah.
He's honestly, I mean, he's not. I've never told someone to listen to. Oh, damn it.
No, you're good.
Okay. Sorry, you guys paused for a second. I've never told anyone in my life to listen to Jim Norton, and I never will. It's not for everybody. You find him, that's good for you. But yeah, he's too much, but very funny.
Yeah.
I'm so used to this thing kicking me off. I like just expected that it was going to do that again. So that's funny. Anyway,
I love listening to
Senor
that kind of
Filth.
stuff.
Where's that from?
Senor Filth.
I never got that answer.
The name Senor Filth, it kind of just sort of, like, I've always been, like, into, like, hip-hop and DJing and stuff like that, so I never, like, DJ'd as a professionally like that, but I always just like I was always annoyed of, like, when people have, like, their aliases and they take them too seriously, and for me, like, Senor Filth is just like a joke of my alias. It's not like something I take seriously, so it's more of a fuck you to anyone like who takes that stuff too seriously. Like, my name is just Senor Filth because it's stupid and it's just fun and stupid. I'm trying, like, my goal in life is to bring back the fun and stupid in art because it's just so serious. Like in music and movies, art. It's so serious. It's just not fun.
That you can't even see all the detail they put hours and hours and hours into.
Yeah, so
a lot of the joy of life is not the serious shit, and we need art reflecting that part of life as well as the serious shit. So
yeah, so
I'm as big of a fan of conscious rap or conscious music. Tom McDonald's my favorite right now for sure. So yeah, he's from a moderate perspective, he's awesome. I was talking to someone the other day and just said that like the fact that he put Blair White in his music video, because Blair White's trans, so a bunch of right wingers are gonna like be dicks, and then a bunch of left wingers, because she's right wing, will be dicks. And so like it triggers the snowflakes on both sides, and it's in the music video Snowflake. So it was such a brilliant move. As soon as I saw that, and then she said like that and then she said something about retarded. I don't remember what it was, but it was just awesome. Awesome move.
Yeah.
But yeah, we need like normal, like whatever comfort art and funny art too.
Yeah.
Happy art.
That brings me to like.
Have you guys ever heard of Webtoon?
I go on it on a daily basis.
My girlfriend goes on it. It's digital comics.
Oh, yeah,
and it's the storytelling is amazing. I listened to the audiobooks of Not Even Bones. It's a series about like human trafficking, but like through a mythological framework. It's really, really cool. It's you got to check it out. But it has a comic version of it, and that's how that was the path through how I heard about it. But it's an amazing platform and a lot of really cool storytelling, and it's not something that necessarily a lot of people in our space know about, but we got to be connected to art if we want to be connected to the culture. So direction pointed.
Yeah. I guess I think that'd be
What's your favorite comic?
To me, it's Midnight Poppies.
Okay. My girl and I have been going through Yumi Cells, YUMI 'S Cells, CELLS. Friggin' awesome. I would recommend that one. Very cool way of exploring the way we have our inner conversation. It's pretty dope.
Yeah.
Sure. Definitely will look into it. Sorry, Senor Filth. We keep interrupting you.
Oh no, I was about to say I've never gotten into comics. I love the art, but never like. It's hard to like get into, because if you see, I'm into records and stuff like that. So it's to be into like records and to be also into other things. It's kind of hard. I shake sign out again and again.
So records? Do you mean like documentaries or stuff like that?
Like vinyl records, like music.
Right behind them.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so like that's your obsession. That's what you're. Okay,
yeah.
Got it. I'm caught up.
Yeah, I like collecting, but I also like like the cover art is also fun. This is just stuff like that. But...
yeah.
Ah shit! Oh no, he got off.
Now he left.
We talked about propaganda too much. It's just that's how it goes. So how did you first get into politics? Like, when did you start paying attention to that? Senior show?
It was actually kind of through Opie and Anthony, really, because like I said, it's a comic-based show and it's it's silly, but when the whole Trayvon Martin thing happened, they would talk about it, but that was the only platform that I can really hear like honest conversations about it, because people that know the show, like Anthony Cumia, he's kind of known to be a little bit more right wing, but he's a pretty observant guy, and he's a lot smarter than people think, and just hearing him and Jimmy talk about it and really honestly kind of made me kind of stop and think, like, why am I getting this conversation on a silly radio show that makes like tranny jokes and shit like that, and they're the ones having like the balls to have this conversation about it. And I would flip to, you know, the news, and they would just, you know, talk about it in like such like they're very pussy about it, and
very scripted, right?
Yeah, and that's when I started to like follow more alt media stuff. Like I'm going to more to like YouTube, and I found like, I don't know if you guys know who Sargon of Akkad is. He's one of like the you know, like
Carl Benjamin,
yeah, he's like one of like the godfather of like the YouTube philosophy guys.
He's an OG, lesser known member of the IDW. He was a part of that group before it was even called the IDW.
Yeah.
But he went on the Rubin Report. He went on Sam Harris's podcast. He's made those circles, and he still does. But he's kind of like Mike Cernovich, where he's so good and so well seasoned in this that he's fucking tired of the bullshit, and so he's kind of unplugged. Not Carl Benjamin as much, but even him, like he's kind of dialed it back. But Mike Cernovich out and out has said like he tries to avoid it as much as he can, because it's just, it feels like it never changes, but it's because everyone who is capable of changing it won't get on the damn battlefield.
Yeah.
They want to stay on the sidelines, and nothing will fucking change if we stay on the sidelines. So,
yeah, and that was some cool years, like the early years of like getting into YouTube, like just seeing regular people having their chance to like speak about things that like mainstream.
I was a big fan of Philip DeFranco back in the day, and SourceFed.
I remember
they did their own little news stuff back in the day.
Philip was kind of, he'd be fine one moment, then he'd be a douche other moments. So I never like totally.
He's become a dick lately since Trump. Trump broke a lot of people and basically just turned them into I'm endlessly gonna be a dick to anyone who isn't an out and out dick to Trump, and it's like that's almost everybody. So
oh my gosh.
Yeah,
he used to be a lot better.
Yeah, that was an interesting time, like those years of YouTube. Yeah, because you just saw like so many people, just regular people, being able to like, and to show that like it was a nice way to like prove to everybody that regular people are also pretty intelligent. You know what I mean? Like they didn't need like a big budgeted show or some shit like that. And
the most well-informed people in America politically are random soccer moms you'll never see ever. Because they pay attention at the local level, and they pay attention all the way up. They understand the issues. I've talked to them because I collect signatures for political stuff. So I'm out there in front of a Walmart talking to everyday voters all day, every day. I've loved this job, and I like doing it. It's seasonal, so I get to do it every once in a while. And the most brilliant people I've come across from the jump was always everyday folks. They are at least 40 to 50% better than the smartest politicians. Obama is like the dumbest amongst this crowd, you know, and it's kind of funny because like, you're never going to know any of them by name.
He's like a nice polished up doll.
He knew how to eloquently sound stupid.
Yeah. But but not only that, like celebrities are even dumber.
He's the greatest manipulator.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Like I'm honestly shocked how stupid celebrities are.
Yeah, like I was just looking at something earlier today. Like you know, John Legend is. Yeah, he's a major.
He's married to like
Chrissy, whatever that. Yeah, he's a douche. But
he was in La La Land with that one dude. But there's a song there that I really like. I listen to it from time to time.
Oh yeah, the piano one.
Let me see if I could find the thing.
Starts out with Ryan Gosling on the piano.
Yeah, I was looking at this, just like
turn it into a riot.
Yeah, so this is someone complaining about the baby formula thing, and his response is, "These are the pro-life folks." Oh wait, what the hell's happening? Yeah, but just shit like this. Like this is why. God.
These are the pro-life folks. Are you kidding me?
People complaining about.
Pro-choice people have babies too. They need to feed their babies too.
Yeah,
it's kind of interesting because like it's a sophisticated point to point out that when you have a bunch of young people, a bunch of babies coming over the border, like that's increasing demand on food, that's increasing demand for baby formula and all that kind of stuff. And the fact that our government specifically purchased this to give it to not the citizens is the problem. If you like have a strategic stockpile of baby formula, I thought like that would be badass. That'd be smart. But to give it to other people instead of our own
not
baby?
even Americans. They are coming in through the borders, and more than half of them abandoned their own children getting here.
Yeah.
I think so. Again, I'm nerdy, as you guys say, and I'm standing there in front of Walmart watching quite a bit. There's a lot of kids that are coming over the border unattended, and there's a huge dark reality to why that is happening. It's not people that like saying that they're negligent of their children is the most generous interpretation of what I think is going on. It's something at the federal level. If they can prove that you attempted rape, the most you can get is 2 years. The most you can get if you can prove it. And it's a hard thing to prove to begin with. So our system is fucked. What like the have you guys remember the term rape culture? My cousin, her name's Rebecca. She's not going to see this. She doesn't listen to this kind of stuff, but she's brilliant. Wanted to be a neuroscientist, super, super hardworking. And she was on the fucking ball in a lot of things that I was negligent of because I was, as a man and maybe as an American, just too easy to be offended with the term rape culture. But if you just say we're not addressing the issue, you can't even argue it. Especially with the statistic I just talked about with what attempted rape gets. Like the solution is you give bad guys long prison sentences. And everything else is pretty much a joke. Doesn't matter how many cops you have if they have to keep rounding up the same people. And they never just get thrown away. So anyways, that term is very provocative, but it touches on something that is just unaddressed. And we all know it is, and it's too dark to really get into deeply or to really spend a lot of time on. But I have a video on my YouTube channel. We need to wage a war on rape, and I think nothing less than that conception of it is appropriate.
That's a good thought.
I was gonna say, like, I wanted to trace back just a little bit when he's talking about the baby milk shortage. I don't know if you guys heard about BioMilk, the startup. I just shared like a
I'll put it up right now.
BioMilk.
So it's like they create the problem and then they provide the solution, sort of type thing.
Oh God!
Oh
no.
yeah, Bill Gates invested in something like this.
Yeah.
What is this again? It sounds.
It's
creepy.
like a lab created artificial milk.
So remember, y'all, when Bill Gates invested in biolabs, and then not long after the COVID came out of nowhere.
How is it that he knows, man? It's like he's so on it. He's such a smart guy.
Oh
man,
Bill Gates, the smartest businessman creates his own demand.
Yeah, thank you, Bill Gates. You're our savior.
Pfizer is you know what's funny? Pfizer was talked about as like, and Trump did too. Trump talked about, and so I have questions in this regard. But anyways, Pfizer was brought up as like the solution, and Pfizer has a history of a lot of crap. But Pfizer just recently, in the last 18 months or so, had a recall of Chantix, the product to help you quit smoking so you can not have cancer. And they were putting for 14 months cancer-causing carcinogens in that product, and it took 14 months for the FDA to say, "Hey, stop giving this to people." And they own a bunch of cancer treatments, so they're creating their own demand by trying to literally like inject it into, like, it's one of these strategic mistakes that benefits them somehow magically, and we're like, oh, it just, it happens. And so like this kind of shit happens. Absolutely. People create their own demand. That's the easiest way to.
Oh my goodness.
He'll come back on a second.
He was on to something, man.
I know, but it's just like he keeps going on great stories and paths, and then that happens.
Back on?
Say his name too many times, But anyways, like he he's acting evilly. He's not working towards the betterment of humanity. But if you watch his videos, he thinks that, first off, vaccines are a depopulation tool. So, I mean, he literally said that. He listed off vaccines as one of the various things we will use to curb the population. So
he admits it in labs.
It's not even like he literally said it on stage at a TED Talk. It's not even like a secret recording ABC hot mic bullshit. Like, he just said it.
He just wants to kill off the human race.
Is that on YouTube?
It's the overpopulation cult or a death cult. If you go back in history enough to people that worship death, it gets to these kinds of types of actions. People that take this path, they think that death breeds creation, which breeds betterment, and so they literally will just destroy shit to create chaos, to create order out of it. And it's like,
that's very interesting.
That's not how it works. The world is always atrophying and falling apart, and we can just create order out of that natural process. You don't need, like, a girl doesn't need to, or a person doesn't need to create artificial tests for their partner. Life will test you, but there's so many people in my own life that create artificial tests just to test their man. And like, if that happened to me, or when back in the day, if it ever happened to me, I would just tell them to go screw themselves and leave. Like, that's not what you want in a relationship. Same thing, like, you don't need to create artificial problems, but people fall prey to that. And then the whole overpopulation narrative, which is a lie to begin with. We produce enough food for 17 billion people. Sorry, not trillion. 17 billion people. Like 3 times our population, and that's right now. But it's, we're not utilizing it, and certain places you only get food if you have corrupt access to food, because they will they have the power. Nigeria, for example, you have to be a woman who can prostitute herself to get fed regularly in Nigeria. Like, it's a fuck country. So anyhow, happy day.
And just blame it on.
I was gonna bring up too how he was talking about how destruction brings on creation or something like that. But that's a reoccurring theme that I hear from these elite globalists. And then the other thing is that it seems that a lot of them are worshiping that one statue of Shiva, which is means the same thing. I don't know if you guys ever seen the statue of Shiva.
Wait, did they all both sign up?
I think
the goddess of death.
It's like she's like the I think it depicts kind of like a female and the male at the same time, because it looks like a male character, but then it also has like lipstick and makeup on. And that statue can be seen in one of the photos with that one guy, what's his name, the something Tedros from the WHO. He has it in the background.
Oh yeah, Dr. Tedros from the World Health Organization.
So it seems that statue always seems to be around those globalist elite. And then again, I don't know if you guys ever heard of CERN.
No, I haven't heard that.
The CERN, in Switzerland, where they're trying to open up portals, and it's I forget what it's called, a super
weird.
But I can maybe share photos with you, Mr. Phil.
Hold on a second. Vine, can you speak? I'm not sure. I think you might be on mute. Yeah, you're on mute. I guess sign out and then come back on. Yeah, I guess see if you could share the thing. How do I turn this off? Oh, yeah.
So did either of you guys grow up religious?
I grew up Catholic.
Yeah, me too. I grew up Catholic. I did the confirmation and communion. Is there anything else we got on that?
Aside from the pedophilia, it's a bit ritualistic. Mm-hmm. That's about the beginning and the end of my. The philosophy in the Catholic lineage is pretty deep, and so that's cool. But that's not exactly a great consolation prize for a global pedophile ring that's given its own country. But what are we saying?
Yeah, that's I think that's a big reason why I'm not religious is the Catholic thing. It's kind of all I've known, so I kind of just attribute religion.
My grandfather is a pastor. Was a pastor. He's retired now, but although he has his flaws,
hello.
fine, yay,
Gotcha.
sweet.
We hear you. Cool.
Although he has his flaws, he always preached that Christianity and the Bible teaches and is about an individual relationship with God, or the consciousness behind the structure of the universe, however you want to think about it. But it's an individual relationship type thing, and it's not about the religious superstructure. That's sort of a context in which you find it, but it's not the real thing.
Oh, there's my sound.
Oh.
So,
this is the Shiva thing that you were talking about? David?
I know about this too.
Benevolent? Is he on mute? Oh shit, I think he's on mute.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was like on mute. I was talking. But
sorry. Yeah, is this what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's the statue I was talking about. But like CERN, this statue was donated by India, and if you scroll back up, just for a minute, so I can read it.
Oh, okay.
This is like a particle physics, not physical, but particle physics lab called CERN. I think it's in Switzerland or somewhere like in Europe. And they're creating like a particle accelerator, and they've talked about. There's like a lot of videos on this, but I don't know if you'll really like. Even I've watched videos on it, but I don't completely understand. But like essentially, what they're trying to do is they're trying to like open up like wormholes into like other dimensions. They're almost practically trying to play God. And then this statue, what it symbolizes, like if I briefly just condense it down to like the fewest words, is like. Creation, but also destruction. And so like what it's doing is it does like this dance where it kind of like destroys the world, but I think it's supposed to like recreates the world at the same time.
Yeah.
And this statue has also been found at the headquarters of the WHO, the World Health Organization, with and it's like it was like right behind Dr. Tedros of the WHO.
if you guys want to have your mind blown, go on to the World Government Summit YouTube channel and just watch anything.
I already saw enough of what I wanted on any of those videos. No, thank you.
What's it called? World what? World Government?
World Government Summit.
Is it worth playing
Type
a
in
video?
World Government Summit Cultural and look for the chick that looks like a witch in all black.
It's
She's the daughter of the king who's in charge of culture for the United Arab Emirates.
It's not that one girl.
Just them.
Can Benevolent, can you find that? I want to see it.
It's not Marina Abramovich, isn't it? Or what's her name?
Oh, that artist chick?
Or is it like a different one? Let me see.
No, she's the daughter of one of the kings in the Arab Emirates. So
yeah, pulling it up.
But yeah, YouTube World Government Summit
on YouTube.
There's videos of them making speeches and stuff. They have events.
Yeah. But there's also videos of like the World Economic Forum that are creepy.
Yeah, it's the Bilderberg Group. There's a bunch of like just known meetings of people that are it's like the Kingmaker event.
Yeah.
Where like Obama went in 2007. You know, and we're trying to think. Clinton was there in 2015, but she's been there a few times. But yeah, lots and lots of people. Bilderberg Group is one of them. World Economic Forum.
Yeah.
You're talking about Sheikha Latifa? She looks like a witch. She has like a black robe.
Did you find it?
Yeah, she's in an all black robe. Yeah, I think that's who I was talking about. Anyways, very.
What did she say?
1984. Just the way they discuss like the creative industry, and like there's all sorts of vague references to. So Klaus Schwab spoke and did the introduction. He's in charge of that thing too. And his speech was particularly chilling. He was just talking about how they have plans for literally like they have plans for food shortages in the coming years, and like this, like if if you actually have no reason for something to happen, and then they start talking about a problem that doesn't exist, and then the problem manifests itself.
Yeah.
Well, the good thing about watching those videos is that, like, you can look at those videos and you say, conspiracy theory, nothing's gonna happen, but like, it puts that in the back of your mind.
No, I mean they're literally just out in the open, like coordinating. It's not even a conspiracy theory.
No. Like, let me finish. Like the good thing about that is that like it sits in the back of your mind, like stuff like that. Like I've been hearing stuff like that for like years, but now they're actually doing it. I don't know, like if you guys were aware of like a lot of these food plants and farms were catching fire or being set on fire.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like BCP or Black Conservative Patriot, he was like one of the first people like actually reporting on it like a few months ago, and he was like the first one to report it. And now like everybody's talking about it, like, and it's funny because almost like every occasion, like 90% of the time, these fires were being started on a Wednesday and Thursday. And what people need to start paying attention to all these patterns, like you'll hear something and just wait for it to happen. Either it's going to happen or not. And then usually it does happen. And then there's also patterns that they go by that, I don't know, like you see enough of it and you hear enough of it that you're like, whoa,
yeah,
this is really happening. Like you need to anticipate what's happening. Somehow like
did you guys know we used to grow our own food on our lawn? Like that was the normal thing to do, and lawns were like a sign of wealth, that you didn't need to grow your own food.
Yeah, I've heard about that, but
yeah, I want to reverse that trend. I think we should be using our limited land to grow food, so we're not reliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to have like fruit trees like when I was like a kid in my parents' house.
Yeah.
All of our public trees should be fruit trees.
Yeah. That would be awesome.
Like I actually asked my auntie to help me learn how to garden. So she knows how to grow her own food, and she only lives a few minutes away from me.
That's awesome. That's a great resource to have. I met a lady who has her own land here in the area, and she's started to grow crops off of it, and she has her grandsons doing it, helping her to make some extra money. I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
That's the way to go.
Admirable.
Yeah. Is there any other questions you had for me or the show?
Yeah. So is it divinity? What is it?
Evine.
Evine.
Oh.
Yeah. So what do you do? Who are you? What are you doing?
Who are you?
So I am an illustrator. My main thing is illustrations. I also like to fancy myself as a graphic novelist, since I am making my own graphic novel. But as of recently, I have started working with an animation with one of my stories, specifically Abigail. So I guess you can call me an illustrator / animator at this point. I try to do more wholesome content. Most of my stories have to do with romance. Definitely like Christian conservative values is what goes into my artwork most times. So, meaning meaning you won't see me caught dead drawing anything brand spanking new from Disney.
Right.
There's no OnlyFans on the way.
Absolutely not.
Dude, I can't believe that is so common now. 10 years ago, 5 years ago, that would have been an insane idea.
I was honestly so shocked how well used it is, because just like, why are girls so open to just showing themselves and happily at that? It's just like, what happened?
I don't really think they're happy though.
They don't understand the principle that scarcity creates value.
Yeah.
And so
yep,
they're just like,
it's sucky and sad, and it pretty much shows that they have no respect for themselves.
I do want to throw a curveball on the whole OnlyFans thing, that I just think it's kind of interesting. It's like, it does breed a whole brand of like entrepreneurship with like a lot of these girls, because that is their job.
That's a word for it.
So I mean,
I wouldn't
don't know
call
how,
that
like,
entrepreneurial.
or
I
like
call that
being a small business owner, being
the problem with that.
Here's the thing: like the people that are like doing no sex scenes, no nudes, just like lingerie, scantily clad. Those people are the genius ones. Like they're not even like playing the game, but they're still making the money.
Yeah, they're probably pimping out some only fan girls. It's like, I'll get you exposed. I'll get you clients.
Yeah, but it's just too easy. Like I think that there was a study with monkeys, and they gave them coins that they could exchange for food.
Yeah.
And the males started giving the coins to the females to have sex with them. Like,
I think I heard of that one. Yeah.
It's like women have value, and some women want to just like transactionally trade their value for value.
Yeah.
And like pay their bills with their intrinsic. Like the number of guys, if they could be a porn star or be a male stripper, like if they could, and make money, like that, a lot more would than do. It's just most of them can't because they're just not. They don't have the right, lottery ticket, whatever. Yeah. But like, it's just a function of having that particular appeal and men being that creepy,
Actually, since I have two Christians on, I'm curious. How does Mary Magdalene, how do you guys view Mary Magdalene? She was a prostitute, but she, also a pivotal person in Jesus' life. So, I don't know, I just never asked this to...
Like, what do we think of her story?
What do you think of her profession, but also, I guess, Jesus' connection with her? Or is that a hard...
It's the central part of the Christian ethos that the tax collectors, the people we hate, the prostitutes, the people we judge, the whatever, that they are just as like worthy of love and acceptance, and like God should meet them. One of the Christian sayings is "We'll meet you as you are," and that speaks to the fact that like we're all flawed and sinners, and if we all follow our base programming as animals, like life doesn't go well for us. You have to be purposeful and align yourself to something more meaningful.
Jesus also said in the word that it is not the well who need a doctor, but the sick. And Mary Magdalene was one she wanted to change. She wanted to have a brand new life. And when Jesus came to her, he actually exorcised 1,000 demons out of her. And since then, she had chosen him and left that life behind because he gave her a brand new beginning that was just going to give her her value back. And that's basically what Christianity is. It's first and foremost, it's for the sick, it's not for the well. And secondly, it's to help you just have a relationship with the Lord and let his purity turn you pure from the inside out, like trusting him with the crap that you have in your heart, and it just changes you the more you trust him.
If from the fact that you exist, you take on faith that the universe wanted you to exist, and you take from that on faith that the universe loves you, God loves you, and then you can then recognize that you have that intrinsic worth, regardless of where you want to bring, like how you get there. If you can just recognize that intrinsic worth, that consciousness, that being, that thing that is of value behind our eyes, who needs that more than a woman that is selling herself and thinks so little of herself that she's in that situation? Pretty much no one else needs that more to recognize that internal value. No woman should ever be a prostitute in a shoulda, woulda, coulda situation. Should it be legal? Yeah, because I don't think cops showing up and throwing someone in jail does anything for that situation. Making it illegal so it's dangerous, so girls get diseases and if they get raped, they can't go to the cops. The consequences of making it illegal are too much for me.
You can't.
I can't agree because girls shouldn't be allowed to sell themselves, and if they do, well, they could also be passing along diseases. So I absolutely believe it should be remain illegal, and they should be behind.
I think the train disagrees. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
That's great timing. Great timing.
Yeah, I definitely can sympathize with that. I think when I see, now I'm gonna be really being disrespectful to Donald Trump and his wife Melania Trump with the way I discuss this, but
go ahead.
These are the facts. These are what they said. Trump said that he would not be with her if she wasn't beautiful, and she said he would not be with her if he wasn't rich, or she wouldn't be with him if he wasn't rich. So women seek security and value in men and will take money for it. Men want women's bodies and will try to get it and value beauty. Mm-hmm. And so the number of situations where a dude is giving a girl a gift or giving her special privileges or throwing her a little cash, or it's like close to prostitution but not actual prostitution, the number of situations, including the marriage of our former president, can get so close to it that like then making the out and out right thing illegal is just a step too far for me. Mm-hmm. I just think like again, we have other priorities that at least should take precedence. Like rape should be concerned more of a problem than prostitution, but any problem doesn't negate the need to solve other problems. So that's not a logical argument to try to ever make that point. But I just think that that taking someone and putting them in jail for doing that is worse than the thing itself. And so I don't support making it illegal for that reason. But yeah, you know, opinions vary.
Yeah. Okay. Well, agree to disagree. I'll leave it at that.
There you go.
Just to follow up on the Mary how does what happened to Mary Magdalene after Jesus resurrected? I just don't know. Just curious. Is there any follow up to her?
So she was one of the first who saw Jesus raised from the dead. In fact, she was the very first one, because she was weeping by his tomb that he appeared before. So let's all get that into perspective, that Jesus, the Son of God, appeared to a former prostitute as the first one to see his body glorified. So yeah. That tells me that to him, she was the most precious because she had the worst past. And she was the one who basically rejected the worst past any one of them has to live a life of purity because of Jesus. And so that was such a huge sacrifice that it made her all the more precious to him. Therefore, she was the first one to see him alive. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just curious about it.
There's a essentially, if gospel is just means like a documentation of the time, there's a Gospel of Mary that is not included in the Bible that I haven't read, but that I'm aware of, and apparently that would have some information as to what happened to her after all that. But yeah, Jesus.
So both
of them just kind of look. She looks like she saw an apparition. Hey, since it's like Friday the 13th, I don't know if it's possible for you, but I saw recently on Benny Johnson's Instagram at the Clarence Thomas protest in front of his house. There's like this one protester that looked like a demon.
Oh yeah.
I think that would be kind of fun just to bring up for shits and giggles.
Let's see if
Friday the 13th.
You can get him to sign on.
If you're able to pull it up.
Back on. Let's see.
I'm back. Just the connection was bad for a little bit.
Yeah. We should probably start winding down soon, but I guess. But if you can find that video real quick before we sign out. All right, so special Friday the 13th reference. Go ahead.
It's interesting. It's interesting to think that possibly like it's the Muslims' perspective, at least theocratic Muslims, that allowing a certain amount of temptation into society and permitting it is like setting people up to fail, basically. And you know, like if you legalize weed and everyone's smoking weed and we're all not paying attention, and then shit goes down, like, was it the right move? Maybe you could have argued morally at the beginning it was the right move, but was it ultimately, consequentially, the right move?
Yeah.
You know,
good point.
And so with prostitution, if all the men start cheating on their wives because they can, obviously, like, society will fall apart. So, like, that's a concern for sure.
Yeah.
That's usually the pushback I get whenever is from men that will say, like, if it's legal, then a bunch of guys will go start doing that. And I'm like, you're kind of letting the cat out of the bag there, but it's not a lie that if you increase temptation, the likelihood of succumbing to it goes up.
Yeah.
So,
I guess before we go, let's just watch this before we head out. It's getting kind of late, and I have to eat. All right, so should I have the sound on, or should I just have it off? All right, can you
judges in order to get your prescribed outcomes, but this is not what this video is about. What this video is about is a particular frame in that specific video that has the entire internet all caught up in the question, did we just capture a demon on camera? Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna stop and we're gonna freeze frame this video and show you exactly what people are talking about here. And exactly what people are talking about here is a very specific protester who, even though everyone else's face seems to be clear-eyed and they seem to just be your typical childless, cat-loving, microwave dinner-eating, single leftist feminists standing there in the middle of the road chanting in the rain, one stands out, and it is somebody with a warped and creepy face. It looks like a dead face. If you look at this video, and the source of this video is Douglas Blair, who is a reporter with the Daily Signal, and this is a news outlet in Washington, some might say, and that they are angry. This is demon possession. Now, what is happening here?
I think she's just an old ugly lady, but it's a trip, man. She does have a bit of a Walking Dead thing going on.
So, like, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, like, you know, like, I am definitely, like, more into the whole spiritual realm thing, and I do believe in demonic possession. And a few times, like, there have been people that I know who have exorcised demons out of people. That some people they met, their eyes went black, or other times just their faces would warp so much out of anger that it doesn't look human anymore. I do believe 100% that was a demonically possessed person there.
Wasn't there like some video like a few months ago, like somebody that was caught in like some border patrol caught a woman and she like I think she jumped on them and yeah, that was a weird one.
She was spitting and hissing and yeah.
And she almost sounded animalistic the way she was moving. It was creepy.
There's a animalistic, hungry face I've seen in some people that's distinctive and not human, in recurring situations. So I believe in demons 100% off of that, as well as like, just because it's not been proven within the scientific framework doesn't mean it's not true. Yeah. Like the things that can be true and the things that can be even like asked, the questions that can even be asked within that framework are very limited. And just because we know this doesn't mean that's all there is to know. Anyways, on the demon, I was trying to, where was I going with that?
I think it has to do something too with like Friday the 13th too. I think why it's so notorious for like the date. I don't know the history, but like maybe
I don't think
I think that's just random superstition.
No, but like I think there's like times throughout the year, especially like Halloween, where like the realm of the spirit world and this world actually gets thinner, where these beings or creatures like tend to manifest more.
Yeah.
And I swear, like even like for me, like I've seen some people like driving in their car that kind of resemble that. Where I'm driving in my car, I'm like, before I even saw this video like months ago, where I'll see people and they have like this featureless sort of face with like sunken eyes, and like, what the heck is that? But I'll just like drive by them too fast where I won't see them again. It's definitely a possibility that that's actually happening.
If you guys watched the White House Correspondents' Dinner speech from Biden, or any of his speeches, when he leans into the microphone and starts whispering,
Oh yeah.
pay attention to his mouth and tell me you don't see some shit.
His eyes
get bigger, but he gets a Joker smile that he's never had at any other point in his life, other than when he leans into that microphone.
Yeah, there's like a lot of videos.
Slits in his eyes, and it's creepy.
His skin tends to like stretch a lot in a lot of the videos. It seems like to like warp and change it a lot. Like if you pay attention to like him talking. But even like with me, when I was like a kid, I know I brought this up real quick. When I was like a little kid, I woke up in the middle of the night, and I'm not saying that I'm a reptilian, but like I woke up in the middle of the night where I was like, "What's wrong with me?" And I got up and I walked over to like my mom and dad and woke them up because I don't know what it is that just like bugged me in my face. And then they looked at me and they're like all afraid and scared. I'm like, it's like, who the fuck who the heck are you?
Yeah.
And it apparently at the time they didn't take a picture, but like my face was like had changed to like a different face, supposedly according to them. And like it just looked completely different, and they freaked out. They said that it didn't look anything like me.
It looked like Brad Pitt or something like that.
No, like it was. They said I looked like a little alien or something. Like it looked like a demon or something. They took me to the hospital, and then I was there like overnight, and it just kind of went away. And the doctor just said it was like an allergic reaction to like bacon or something. But like
wow.
That years later I ate bacon and like it never like when I got older and I was like, man, this stuff smells good. I tried it and I never had like a reaction again from bacon, so I don't eat bacon. But I don't know. I just thought it was like interesting when I was like a little kid. There's like a bunch of other things that happened when I was like a kid, but that's one of the stories that I know I talked about here last time.
All right, we should probably start winding down because it's kind of getting late.
Yeah, you can wrap it up. Sorry about that.
I don't know. Any last things you want to bring up, Jay?
Nope.
All right. I guess Divine or Benevolent, you want to plug anything? Anything you're working on?
I want to plug these. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, everybody. I guess, well, everybody, I finally have someone helping me with animation, and so Abigail's going to be animated, and so hopefully I'll be putting up more images that'll be hinting out how it's going to be looking. So if anyone wants to, support it, just go to coffee.com /eBineArts. Simple as that.
All right. I guess I'll plug the show, Critical Introverts. My brand, SonicBoom Studios, is coming along. I have merch slowly creeping up, so keep an eye out for that. I'm also excited about the new show that I'm doing with Jay and Trevor Brown. I forget what it's called, unfortunately. What it's called? It's like a Greek thing. Do you remember?
The Acropolis. It's on the Acropolis News Network.
I can't remember. He has a name for the show. It's called something Gragas. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, be on lookout.
He likes that Greek shit.
Yeah, he's a Greek history dork, so that's kind of cool. All right. I guess Jay, you want to plug your podcast?
Yeah, YouTube. Well, YouTube channels. Uncommon Ground. There's Uncommon Conversations on there. The Uncommon Ground podcast. I'm jfarmer.ig on Instagram. Yeah, I'm going to be having a book coming out soon. I'm relatively close to it. Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be informative. The goal is to arm the populace with the arguments around the relevant issues so that we can actually get this system to work for us. It's going to take people at least participating enough to learn. But the point is, the current political system works to keep you from learning what you need to learn. It's all smoke and mirrors. And so I'm going to be trying to, clear the room, turn on the lights, and, show everything for what it is. It's a lot more simple when it's laid out the way it actually is versus through manipulative lenses. So have a good one. Watch out for that, folks. And Benevolent, you got anything?
Yeah, I just want to actually thank you for coming on, Jay Farmer, and then also to Evine for coming on. And I always forget to thank you guys and Senor Filth, just to kind of continue the conversation. I'm in no way an expert at this, but I just want to be able to see what people have to say about these things and continue the conversation to continue to learn. And
thank you all for this wonderful conversation. It's been awesome.
Yeah. All right, I guess we'll end it there. I'm your host, Senor Filth. Thanks for watching another episode of the Critical Introverts podcast / Uncommon Conversations on YouTube. And yeah, we'll see you another time. Peace.